WOZ Up with Bill. Conversations on life, faith, and everything in between.
Well, we're glad to be back with my podcast, WOZ Up with Bill, and it's where we have conversations about faith, about life, and everything in between. We are continuing now in kind of a series. We started doing one on the issue and the challenge of loneliness. Then we did one about life-giving relationships, building friendships with my good friend, Pastor Frank Winter. And today, what we're going to focus on, the whole aspect of building nurturing community. And I want to welcome as my guest today, Yemi Akindoju. I hope I said that right, Yemi?
Akindoju.
I'm sorry. That's right.
That's okay.
My apologies. Anyway,
that's okay.
We're not going to edit that because it just shows that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I'm willing to be corrected. So there you go. So today we're going to talk about building a nurturing community. And as I said, we were talking a little bit before about like loneliness is the individual, building relationships with one or two people, and then building a nurturing community is a little larger context. And the scripture talks about we are part of the family of God. And all of those have their place in our growth and our journey of faith. So Yemi, we've gotten to know you and for some time now, part of the community at Faith City Church. Yemi, just tell us your story, a little bit of your story, your journey. I know you're originally from Nigeria and you've come to Canada, you have a family, you have a career here. I'd just like to know if you can share with us how you've benefited from being part of a nurturing community and in turn what you've done. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bill, for inviting me. And also thanks Cindy for the lovely tea that I had this morning. That's a great topic. And it resonates with me so well. I will talk generally about African. Africa is about family. Specifically in Nigeria and the way we were brought up. We were brought up by the community, not just by our family. In those days, we spent more time playing on the street. Whatever street we had, we were out there. Not knowing that it was a big background-based building of relationships with other people that are not close to your inner family. We woke up in the morning and the next thing you want to do is to get to your neighbor's house and the next neighbor's house. And all the children at that time would just run tires on the street. Parents were comfortable. We could not hide. There was no place to do wrong things because every parent owned that child on the street. And I think that was the background, our understanding that we lived in communities. We knew each and everybody's names. We ate in different homes. Homes were open and there was love. And it all also dovetails to the love that the Lord has given to us. So our parents in those days, and I say our parents of my neighbors and 3 houses away, 4 houses away, no matter how it was, we were about 12, 30 kids on the street. If they allowed us, we were there till, of course, there was no television until 6 p.m. Nowadays it's different.
Yeah.
Television starts it's 24/4.
Yeah.
Kids have phones and all that. And that, I think, Pastor Bill, has caused a big change. When we moved to Canada, I would tell you, if you wanted to visit us, you never needed to call. You just came. That's the culture. The unfortunate thing is that we may not be home. That's what you miss. But we had to learn that you had to call people. You had to set days, and those days change. Those are some of the few things we first learned that created gaps in relationship. And after learning to live in a communal way, still, we taught our children that way. The first thing we did was to send them to sports where they could meet other kids because allow them to meet with our neighbors. My dad even told me that your neighbor, the next 2-3 homes from you, are better families than your parents that were away. If anything happened to you, who will be the first to be called? Yeah. So we had that as a concept. We were built and born that way. I'll speak specifically concerning my wife, Toyin. Their parents specifically invited at least 11 family members that lived with them. Their home was shared. So that is the background that we came with. And we came into Canada believing that. In Canada, maybe with time, things have changed. Security, also things that are happening. Parents started getting afraid to let go and started drawing close and bringing just close families. We never knew there was anything called close family. Family was family because that was love. God's love is forever. It's for everybody. Black, white, green, young, all are loved by God. He even said, even the sinner should be loved. Because that's the only way we can turn them true. So when we came, we allowed our children to be the same background, regardless of where we found ourselves, to have that same background. I will even share with you my history of faith. Tabernacle, now Faith City. We came into Halifax. The day we came into Halifax, we landed late in the evening. The then Pastor Bob had a youth pastor. I cannot remember his name. The youth pastor and his wife came with blankets and jackets with my sister, because my sister had a very old car to bring, because we had three, that's all we brought. 3 kids, my wife and I, Tony and I, Korede, Shokwe, and Tenny. Tenny was only 2 weeks old. We came in and they came, and I asked my sister, who is this person? I said, oh, this is our church. I could never forget them. And, that's 23 and a half years. There will be no reason for us to leave that church that showed us love from the beginning. It was, so things like that you never forget. And as we grew here in Halifax, we thought we could do that ourselves, encourage communal things. So we started opening our homes. Tony and I thought, what else could we do? We thought we could have marriage counseling for young people who are coming in. We wanted to bring in new immigrants. Like when we came, wanted to know where the first service was, where the hospital would be. So we invited either professionals or families or marriage couples who could be pressured under a new environment. And we wanted to tell them our story because our story we thought would really help them. So we built community that way. I also encouraged my wife as well to be involved. One of the first things that I did was to knock into North Preston and said, I want to be part of North Preston, the black community in the North Preston. So I was treasurer for the then home for colored children for 10 years. I'm thankful to Veronica Manisman, who said, Yemi, we need you for 10 years. And from there, I also joined the Black Business Initiative, whereby I also contributed. We started implanting ourselves into both institutions, into families, into individuals, and also finding ways. You won't believe this. Our best friends was soccer moms and soccer dads. And these were either black, white, or we didn't care because we couldn't afford, driving kids all about ourselves all the time. So we called some people to help us. They found who we are. We opened our homes. We shared hotels. 2 dads will stay in the same room. To make things cheaper for us. We build those communities that way. Till today, those parents that we watch soccer together, that we took our kids to soccer together, are still best of our friends. So that's community for us. But you don't see those things anymore. And we want to re-encourage parents to take away the phones from them, to allow them to trust the community in which they live, allow them to play on the street, to get to know, because your child will be the first to know who are the families 3 houses away. And then they will bring their parents. And then then that's how you expand. And from one street, from one neighbor to the other, you become a community. From one community, you become a state. So that's for us a huge Christian background. But not only Christian. We open our homes to both believers and non-believers, because that's the only way that we can learn. We've had people ask us, why do we do this? Wow, what a lesson. Sometimes it's the best way to say we do this because we are instructed by Christ to love our neighbor. You see, he said, out of all others, love God first and then love your neighbor. Anyone, definition for us about neighbor is anyone at sight, anyone you can reach. Just share. And, I hope that resonates a little bit with you. Well,
thank you, Yemi, because I've been listening to you and this whole thing about this whole concept of building a nurturing community. One more time, I don't think that there are probably very many people here in Canada who don't have or a desire or wouldn't like to be connected in that kind of a setting. And as I listen to you share, what strikes me is sometimes we live in a world where we want to overcomplicate things. And I've been listening to you, you say, how do you get to know your neighbors? Well, it is the truth about children. You're not suggesting being irresponsible about parents and you want to look out for your kids. But I'm just saying, I'm listening and saying, it's really not complex. If you let your kids get out to play or whatever, that kind of a thing, they will become the connecting point. It's interesting because over the years we did that. Our kids were involved in sports as well as much as they want to. And it really is, they're barrier breakers. They just meet people, whatever.
And you know what? Children hold nothing. They are free in their heart. The Bible says, look, if we want to go back to him in heaven, we should think of acting like children.
Yeah.
Children's love.
Yeah.
They just want to play. And you know what? There's something to learn about children. And I like the word you use. They are connectors, if we allow them, But if we keep all our kids out of fear, it is not out of, we understand today things have changed from the past. But, kids now use media, social media, telephones, and they learn all sorts of things. If we don't take those things away from them, they don't even talk to their parents, talking to their neighbors.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, they say the old wine tastes better. Those things that we did in the past can be regurgitated, can be put back. If parents would share, if we would share a time like this that you're having, trying to bring back the why community is important. And there's no other place than a place of community, a place of safety.
Is it, you say that, not long ago, I wish I had kept it. I read an article that somebody had written about sort of building relationship. And this article talked about one of the ways for families to reconnect is to make plans to be able to eat together once a day, like plan to have supper together. And I'm reading this article and I'm scratching my head. I said, what? You and I, we grew up with that. Like we always had supper together.
Definitely.
And the truth of the matter, it's interesting with our kids growing up over the years, and being, pastoring and that kind of thing and having guests in our home. Sometimes I talk to my kids. I have a son and two girls. But, those were remarkable experiences for our children because they sat at the table and we didn't believe that they were only be seen and not heard. But it's amazing really how some of those people really impacted our children's lives. And sometimes it's just as simple as saying, so going back to what you're saying here is that it's really not complex, that it starts with simple things. But the point is, I listen to you, people need to be intentional. Like at some, you have to decide, I know that you're not against, I know that you have a cell phone, you're current and you're conversant and all that, you know how to use that. But I think what happens for us, if we're talking about the old guys now, we actually have come to learn what those tools can do to help us. And we also learn what the limitations of those tools are. And when those tools are positioned to sell that they're going to create community, the reality of it is they don't. They understand. Like I understand Facebook and all of that, and I'm on it. So I'm not here being sort of naive, but I know what it can do and I know what it can't do. There's nothing to take the place of, I know you do a small group, and a lot of that has to do with face-to-face encounter. And it's in the group encounter, where we're enriched, where we're sometimes frustrated to death. But I've come to learn that engagement with a group when somebody frustrates me to death is I've come to realize that those moments are when the Lord is really using that person to sand off some of the rough edges that I need to have taken care of in my life. And that can only happen, Yemi, in the group context. Yes. Have you found that?
100%. I'll quickly shift away from residential or home situation. Let's even talk about the church. Let's talk about places of work. We talk about the 24-hour strategy. Spend 8 hours at work. What do we do with those 8 hours? Do we build critical relationships? Even have you tried to invite somebody from work to your home?
Yes.
Just to open up a different environment and different conversation. If you don't mind, I'll use my office environment as an example. We are so diverse that one of the few things we did last year was to ask for continental dishes to be shared. We have people from Ukraine, we have people from Nigeria, we have people from Canada, we have people from different parts of the world, and we shared different meals. Oh, that was a wonderful time. They are everybody's calling to do that again. But not only that, we encourage people in that place of work to spend time together outside work, relate. Because once you do that, you start to break those barriers. You start to break those fears. Some people say, I hate my work environment. Why? Is it the work or the people? Research shows that in most cases, it's people, the relationships that you keep. So if you are able to voice out your pains and your joys amongst your colleagues at work, that will create a community. Also in church, when we all go to church, we walk in, we walk out, we pray, we sing. Do we turn around to say, hi, how are you? How has it been? I'll give you a quick example. I used to be the host. And you know what? One day, somebody shook my hand and I said, how are you in the morning? She said, you won't want to know. At that time, I wasn't experienced enough. Even with my age, I couldn't answer. I wouldn't want to know, but it resonated with me. It kept in my heart that this person that I said, hello, how are you? How are you doing today? Couldn't tell me how she was doing. And, I went back, I prayed with this person. I started praying. Then after service, I had to look for that person. And I said, I'm sorry, your answer was, you don't want to know. Is there anything really? I could have asked you. I could have pulled you aside at that time to say, how can I help? I missed that opportunity. But you know what? Throughout the service, my heart was with you. And I came back to you. She said, thank you. That a lot more people would not do that. Then we spent some time together. We thought it was going to be 10 minutes. We thought it was going to be 15 minutes. But we went into almost 30 minutes. My wife was waiting. And I said it was more important for me to understand and repair that relationship. I can share with you today, we're best of friends. Things like that. Somebody comes with, you never know. It happens in churches, it happens at work, it happens at home. We need to hear how other people feel just by speaking to each other, just by asking. And it really, really, really works.
So, Yemi, the whole point here is not to be scolding people because people want this. As I listen to you just relate that incident in your life, it's interesting that a relationship and community was built. It started by, it's not talking about, a PhD dissertation. No. It started with you saying hello.
Simple.
That's really the opening. Saying hello to somebody is absolutely crucial. And I think we want to land in this area now and sort of wrap this up, because to encourage people that, again, this is not impossible. It starts with saying hello, and you have no idea where it's going to go, just showing some interest in somebody. That's the thing that I feel like we need to land on, and it really can. It's sometimes, my wife's a wonderful cook, and the size of me is a testimony to her cooking, because sometimes she will do a dish and I'll ask her for, what where the components are. And sometimes the components of that delicious dish are so simple, Yemi, to me, it shouldn't work. There aren't like exotic flavors and etc. There's some basic things and it tastes absolutely delicious. Now, there are other dishes that require additional flavors and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that what we want to do is encourage people to just risk it. You may have been disappointed before, but it's never too late to start.
Pastor Bill, I think the word is being intentional. Especially your intention is built with habits. And you build good habits right from the youth. It's sometimes difficult when you're older to start to teach people to love or to relate or to be able to speak. Like I said, and I'm going to go back to what I said, allowing kids to play outside builds their confidence, builds their intention to ask or relate, sharing a meal or sharing their meal. I have seen kids who go to school who would have some snacks in their bag and would look back and, oh, you don't have, let's share. Those are kids that will grow up in the future to open their home. Like you said, it is not science. It is not rock science. To love is so easy. It's just asking, how can I be of a help to you? It's just opening your heart to saying, how are you? It's just saying, can we chat? Is there something, what you see? If you don't mind. Sometimes, maybe 1 in 10, you will get a negative feedback. That's okay. That's part of the experience.
Yes.
But try. Make it easy. Make love, reaching out to somebody within your reach and intention, and it will be fine.
Thank you, Yemi. Listen, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today on the podcast. And we certainly will carry on. I hope that there's been something in this that's been encouraged. Thank you, Yemi, again for being willing to do this. We must chat again. I'm sure there are other things that we need to delve in. I was going to talk about, your background in finance and relating this to return on investment. You have to sow something before you get something back. And we may talk on that another time. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to being with you on the next issue of What's Up with Bill.
Thank you very much.